Hi, returning parents. We're going to do a little walkthrough video of returning parent registration. You should be at usdb.powerschool.com and you'll be able to see this. If you're a brand new parent, this is not where you want to be. There is a new student registration link and a new student registration video. So make sure you're using the right registration. If you have been here previously, especially many years, you'll be familiar with this page. You're going to use your username and password that you've set up previously to log in. You don't know what that is? This will not work, even though it says forgot username and password. We use single sign-on, so you would have to reach out to myself or your school campus. We can tell you what your username is, and then we can reset your password for you. But don't try to change it with this because it's just not going to work, unfortunately. Your username normally is your first name, last initial, what you used when you registered your student. So it's usually not a nickname unless you've gone in and changed it in the past. So your first name, last initial. Occasionally, if there's already somebody with that name, so like a Jane Smith and this is Jane's student, you would have to put your first name, last two initials. So after you do all these steps, if you were new, you had a new student last year, it doesn't work, try the last two initials of your last name. And then the password is whatever you set it to be, or if you were new last year, your student was new last year, it's USDB 1234. It'll be on your registration letter. And when I click that, if I had never been here before, it would ask me to reset that password and create my own password automatically. I'm going to go ahead and use the password that I made for this person and log in. Or maybe not. Let's try it again. There it goes. Okay, so here we are in not registration. This is the PowerSchool Parent Portal where you would find your students' grades. If they were in a class yet, there would be a teacher here. What you're looking for is on this left panel, this registration link. So it says returning student registration 25-26. If we were in a different school year, it would have obviously a different school year. One thing I want to point out is if you don't see this, I get this a lot, this little area pops in and out. A lot of times when you're doing it on a cell phone, for some reason it's hidden. So it's going to be really tiny on your cell phone too. So make sure you pop that out. You should see that. You can also if you're on Google, you can on a cell phone go down and it'll have a little checkbox that says desktop site. If you check that, it kind of makes it smaller and look more like a computer screen, and it's a lot easier to do. I would recommend you try to do it on a laptop or a tablet or something. It's just way easier to see, but I get it. Sometimes the cell phone's what you got. So go ahead and click returning registration. If your student was new last year, it's just going to take you to the sign-in page of registration. If you've been here many times, it's going to take you right to your forms. So that's what we're trying to get you to when we link it. So I'm going to sign out for just a second so you can see. If I was brand new last year, my student was brand new, you're not going to create an account because you already had one. You made a new student account last year when you did registration. So this email address is going to be what you used in registration last year, and the password is going to be the registration password. So sometimes people get confused and they're like, I'm trying the password I just made for Parent Portal and it's not working. And it's because it's not the same password, unfortunately. I wish I could make it like link like that, but it doesn't. We have to link it this first time. So if you don't remember, the password forgot thing on this does work. So as long as you remember your email, you can say forgot password. It'll email it to you. You can reset it and then log in. So once you get that link together, you're going to hit sign in and it's going to take you to your forms. As you can see, I have a lot of test students, but I'm going to click on Nathan here and get us to the forms. At any point, if you'd rather do this in Spanish, you can change it to Spanish. You're going to read through this and then just start doing the forms. Most of you are pros at this, but I'm just going to show you a couple things that trip people up. Homeschool districts, sometimes people get confused on that. It's just if your student wasn't going to USDB, what would the neighborhood school be? If you're not sure, you can Google your address or you can ask a neighbor. Contacts is going to be obviously yourself first. and then if you have a spouse or a significant other that you want to put second, and then a third contact. We do require 3 emergency contacts. If you can't think of a third person, I would highly suggest you use maybe a neighbor or ask your boss if it's okay to give your work number. This is not something we're going to send a lot of calls to, emails, all of that stuff. It's just an emergency number. So we would only use it if we called you and we called your second person and the third person was all we could get, right? So make sure you fill this out. Try not to copy yourself. A lot of times people don't have a third and they'll put themselves again. I would rather you use a fictional person, like put Cinderella in here so I know it's fake and the school knows it's fake, than to repeat yourself. One thing that does trip people up is you cannot use the same phone number for multiple contacts. So it's going to ask you what your phone number is, and you can't share that same number with somebody else that you're using for a contact. So if you have a home phone and your husband and yourself use that home phone, try to use a cell phone or try to use another number as an emergency number. Logically, it makes sense, right? We're trying to get an emergency contact. We can't call the same number. That's not really going to help us if we can't get a hold of you. So please use another number. It also gives you the opportunity to add 2 or 3 numbers, like if you wanted to put a work number in. But as you can see, those are not required. The only things you absolutely have to fill out are these ones that say required next to them. If you get to your third contact again, like I said, and you don't have somebody else, please just put a fictional person in here, and then make the number something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so we know it's all not real. As you get to the bottom, if this was filled out, you'll get a question that says, do you want to add another contact? Be sure you do want to add another contact if you say yes, because when you say yes, then it's going to generate another one of these, and it's going to have all these required fields again. And so sometimes people do that, they get to the end and they didn't put any information in the next one because they didn't really want to add a next one, then it makes them be stuck. So make sure you say no after 3 if you don't have more. If you do, go for it. If you've got 5 or 6 people you want to put on here, that's totally fine. Just make sure you say yes, fill out all the required fields. But if you're done after 3, make sure you say no. You don't want to end up with eight contacts that are blank. Okay, keep moving on. Priority, what that means is, who do you want me to call first? So if I had listed 3 or 4 people on here, I would have all their names, and you're just going to say, oh, I want you to call me first, and then dad, and then grandma. Medical obviously is pretty self-explanatory. You do not have to answer all of these, as I said, if they're not required. Some of them are. Health questions, very important. Do they have allergies? Do they have food issues? If you say yes to any of these, you will get a call from a USDB nurse just to get more information. Oh, your student's allergic. What are they allergic to? So we know if we need to put an alert or if they need medicine during school hours, those kinds of things. Transportation, obviously very important. We want Wasatch to know, do you have drop-off places that are different? If you do, put that address. You have this box in here. So if you have a more complex situation, like they need to be dropped at dad's house twice a week and then daycare 3 times a week, Wasatch will be able to see this information once it's delivered to PowerSchool. And so they'll know your situation. The next page is going to be agreements. This is all our policies, permissions for things, like can my student use a computer? Up in Ogden, there's a swimming pool, all of those things. You can say no, but do know, like if you said no to field trips, your teacher's probably going to reach out and say, hey, we wanted to take him on this field trip, and you said no. You can say yes, and then if a certain field trip comes up and they say, we're going to go here, and you don't feel comfortable with it, you can still say no to the field trip. They're never going to just take your student without speaking to you before a field trip. Same thing with like photo releases. We love to show photos of our students and all the work they're doing, and you can decide if you're comfortable with that or not. But just ride through these, get down. You'll see a few that have like a policy, anti-bullying policy, that we asked you to read those before you say, yes, I did go over this with my student. And then you're going to hit next. Signature page, obviously very self-explanatory. You're just saying, yes, I filled all this out to the best of my ability. This is the place I'm talking about that will give you the big picture of why you cannot submit. So once I jump to this page, do you see how there's a green arrow here? I finished this page, but down at the bottom, my submit button is grayed out. And no matter how many times I click it, it is not going to work. You have to have a green arrow a green check mark in all of these. So make sure every one of these is green. So you say, well, I don't know what I missed. You know what you can do is just click the red circle and it'll take you right back to the page. And now, as you can see, everything that's required is bright red. So you can say, oh, I missed this, and I need to fill that out. And the minute I fill it out, I can jump back to summary page, and it'll show now that one's green. Once I get all of these green, then this submit button will be blue and I can submit. So if you ever get an email from registration saying, hey, you started registration, but it doesn't look like you ever submitted it, it's because you never clicked this button. So if you get that, you want to go back to the summary page and click on the red circles here and jump yourself back and go, oh, I forgot to put their school district. And just keep filling these out until all the green is ready to go and this blue button is ready to submit, and then hit submit. Once you submit it, the school gets a notification that you finished it, and then we deliver it into PowerSchool where your student schedule and all classes and all that will be created. If you have questions about this form, you can reach out to me. My name is Catherine C. So you can, my email would be Catherine, KatherInec @usdb.org, or reach out to any school campus that your student attends. They're more than happy to help you. You can even do registration at the school. A lot of times they'll have interpreters there around when school starts, and they're more than happy to help you. If you're really stuck and you cannot figure it out, I'm happy to jump on a Zoom with you, and you can share your screen and you can show me where you're stuck and I will walk you through it. Shouldn't be too painful, but at any point you get stuck at any of these parts, like I said, feel free to reach out to me. And we are really looking forward to having your student here this year and excited to see them. Have a great day.